Welcome to the Team Builder Show, where the most successful team leaders share how to build, scale, organize, and ultimately maximize your sales team results. Hey, welcome back to the Team Builder Show. Today, I've got a rock star in my presence who has 23 people on her team, 17 agents, 6 support staff, and there's a little rotation inside there with her ISA team. And for context, last year, 140 transactions with an average sales price of $2.9 million. Joy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, for the person that maybe hasn't met you, hasn't seen you, give us some context. Not only, Fairfield County, Connecticut.
Yep.
What are the markets that you serve and how long you've been in the business?
Oh, okay. So I serve Greenwich, Connecticut, all of Fairfield County, Darien, Danbury. We do it all. And I've been in the business for over 25 years. I started my career in Manhattan, then worked my way up to Westchester County, and now I'm in Fairfield County.
So you've moved markets 3 times, which in and of itself is worthy of a show.
Oh, it's true, because they're completely different with co-ops and condos and
100%. No MLS to MLS, or MLS to MLS. There's a lot of dynamics there. But today, we really want to unpack the journey of the last few years as you've scaled from sort of single agent assistant to what you have today and growing. So one of the questions that everybody asks is, who do you hire first? Who do you hire second? Who do you hire third? You're on this journey, and what are some of the lessons along the way?
Yeah.
So I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Who'd you hire first? Who'd you hire second? And let's kind of take them through the journey of when you started to build a team to today.
Sure. So when I started to build the team, it was because I was too busy, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't handle all this. So I was like, let me hire someone who can help me. So I hired someone who was a licensed agent and was very much like me. And I was like, oh, this, and
That's
it
not
totally
help.
didn't work out. So I guess one of the first things that I would tell people is to really look at yourself and see what you're a superstar at and see what you suck at. And then try to complement what you're not good at with someone else who's really good at. And it wasn't until I got into coaching that I even heard of a DISC profile. I was like,
sure.
What do you mean I'm 99% 9 and D and 99% I, and I have no S and C? So, it was a realization. I was like, wow, So then I hired an assistant who really had that SC quality.
Yes. More organized, more process, more checklist, less, hey, let's do this.
Right.
So the first key hire, you made the mistake hiring your likeness. That's an insight that everybody should listen to. But the second person was, you finally said, okay, I need somebody that really is the yin to my yang. And what year was that first assistant?
Oh, it was probably 5-6 years ago, but it really wasn't the second person who was the best assistant. It actually took about 4 or 5 people to go through before we got there.
Okay, so
if we're being truthful here.
Well, yes. Lie detector test. It was 9. Now, we've had multiple people that have had 5 and 6 assistants because they were trying to, it was like a listing appointment. I'm trying to get you versus, are you right for me? Are we right for each other?
Right.
What did you learn in the process about recruiting and interviewing, or do you just get lucky and you finally got one that stuck?
I finally got one that stuck, and my husband takes the credit for that. He's like, I found her, and she's still with me. And
that's great.
She was amazing, and she really understood me, and she really complimented me. And I think that's what's most important.
So before we move beyond this point, one of the things that I've noticed is there's 2 camps. There's the camp of people that, we all have turnover. Every business in the world has turnover. So don't think that you're going to be perfect, never have turnover. It doesn't exist, right? People get divorced, people have to move, they decide they want something else, they get moved away, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the 2 camps that I see are, one, there's tribal knowledge inside the team leader's head that they have not gotten into a doc or a Google Doc or a PowerPoint. So they have to onboard and train and develop everybody verbally versus I took the tribal knowledge and I got it into a Google Doc. Welcome to the company. Read those 27 pages. If you get it, you're with us. If you don't, you're out. So be honest. Which one are you?
Oh, I was definitely that one. Yeah.
You were in the beginning.
Yeah. I tried to train everything. And I think it's a very difficult process. And I think most people give up. Right? Most people are like, I can't do this. I tried an assistant. It didn't work, and then they just give up. Yeah. But it wasn't until I got the right one that I was like, oh, this is great. Like she really got it.
Yeah.
So,
and high level, I think we all get like, 1 + 1 suddenly equals 4 or 5 from a productivity standpoint. So if the assistant was the first move, what was the second move?
So then I got other agents to join me,
Yes.
and but then I joined Tom Ferry Coaching, right?
Yeah.
And so what was interesting was when I joined coaching, they were like, well, we didn't change, you changed. Because I started wanting them to do things like I held them accountable. I was like, we should be doing this, this, and this. And they're like, no, that's not what I signed up for. Yeah. So they quickly left, and that was painful because...
Boy, there's a commercial for Tom Ferry Coaching.
No, but they weren't the right people, right?
Yes.
It was just, they didn't have that growth mindset. Yeah. They were like stuck in their way. And, if you don't have a growth mindset, then what? You stay the same and you shrivel up and you die. And who wants that, right?
No, not us.
Yeah, not us. So,
so when you started rehiring, did you change your methodology? Did you change your interview process?
Yeah.
Did you create some standards? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so it was really about finding the right people who had the right mindset. So we hire on a growth mentality and people that are coachable, right? Yeah. And they're going to be open to that. Yep. And then the second thing is that they have a servant's heart, because it's part of our core values and our mission statement that we give a 5-star experience to everyone, whether they're a Section 8 client who needs a rental or a $40 million buyer. Right. So that's just part of our core, and everyone believes in that. And
that's powerful.
And that comes from, my mom was a single mom,
right.
And she had financial struggles. And I want to treat everyone the way that I wish that she was treated, because she should be treated like a queen, you know? And I think everyone should. So, we kind of see if people are like that. And I interviewed someone the other day, and she's like, oh, the great thing about real estate is that you get to pick and choose your clients. And I was like, oh, she's not for our team. Yeah.
You're like, no, actually you don't. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we want to get into marketing for the team, but let's go to the next. So you had a couple salespeople.
Yeah.
Then they sort of transitioned out.
Yeah.
You started bringing in some salespeople. How many did you bring in the beginning?
They all trickled in. I guess it was like 3, 4, or 5. It was, somewhat of a revolving door. Right. But what we found was the athletes, the young athletes were driven. They were team oriented, and I love them. So I also love young people. I'm the oldest person on my team by a lot, just because I love to listen to their ideas. And it kind of goes to our culture, right? It's like everybody knows that they have a voice. And that's the best part of my day, is when we all sit there and we collaborate. And I'm like listening to their ideas. And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea.
Right. Getting a 27-year-old perspective versus just a 50-year-old perspective. I'm pointing to me, by the way, in case you're wondering.
And I'm in that camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Truth be told. So you start to hire more salespeople, but then more salespeople create more transactions. So what did you do next?
So then we needed a TC, right? Because salespeople suck at paperwork, myself included. Yeah. So, this person really teed it up so that they wouldn't have to do paperwork, so they can spend more time selling.
So did you decide on the TC software? Did they already have TC software? You know what I mean? To make that 5-star experience beautiful, we need better software. So how did that play out?
Yeah, so that played out from being part of the ecosystem and talking to everybody else here.
What do you use?
Yeah, what CRM do
what
you use?
CRM do you use? Exactly.
So we bought our own, and it just helped us with that client experience, because we do have checklists along the way, which my TC developed, so that there's this client experience, surprise and delight along the way with every buyer or seller.
So many people get lost in exactly what you just said right there.
Oh,
so
okay.
You know what I mean? Nobody says, I got into real estate to deliver poor service.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody says, I'm going into this. I want to wow people. I want to give my very best. But so many people run their business by memory versus by checklist.
Right.
There's no doubt there was a time you were doing it by memory.
For sure.
How did you make that switch as you were adding people?
Yeah. So it's interesting, because I think we do this still today. After every single sale, we sit down, but I didn't used to do this. Yeah. We sit down and we say, what did we do great and what did we suck at, right? Yeah. And then we say, what can we do to make sure that never happens again? Yeah. So I'll give you a quick example. Yeah. It was closing day. We go through the walkthrough, and there's 20 paint cans in the garage. And the buyer's like, I don't want those paint cans. And the seller's like, they're in Boston already. And so who's taking the paint cans to the dump? Me, right?
Yeah.
So now we have a checklist, and we ask if do you have any old paint? And and then we ask the buyer, do you want the old paint? So that we don't run into that pain point again. So it's really finding all the pain points, which comes from experience, and then having checklists. But then we also have the surprise and delight, which you were asking about. And that's all, you know what you should do, but you don't always get around to it.
Yeah.
So it's like you go to that listing appointment, and then you should write a handwritten note, but then somebody else calls you and you get distracted, and then it doesn't happen. So we have a checklist. My TC writes the handwritten note. Then she sends out brownies. And then there's like all these things. And then once the seller does their paperwork, we send them a little coffee thing, like here's a little pick me up, because we know you just had to do so much paperwork.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. We send them moving boxes and just little treats along the way, because it can be a long process between contract and when they move out, especially now with these delayed So you want them to know that you're still in touch with them, and can we get you any resources? So it's part of that 5-star experience.
See, what I love is, you go back to like Walt Disney, right? If you read sort of the origin story of Disney, he was with his daughter, he was at a park in LA, and there was a merry-go-round. And he looked at the merry-go-round and he's like, first of all, not all the horses jump, and a lot of them have chip paint. And he said, what if there was a park where all the horses jumped and there was no chip paint? And that was the origin story of what became Disneyland the Park, right? But then talking to my mentor, Mike Vance, who worked for them forever, he said, but we would map out the exact experience, right down to how long would they be in line? And then what could we do to them while they were in line to make sitting in line, which is a miserable experience, especially when you have like 2 young kids or whatever, how can we make it better? Aesthetically, musically, right? So do you go that far? Like it sounds like that's the direction.
We do. We do that now. We didn't do it back then, but yes, that's definitely.
Have you, because again, so much of your business is in the high end. Do you ever get intimidated by, oh my God, well, these clients are buying like a $10 million house, or that they're selling a $6 million property. They don't need coffee. They don't need brownies.
They love it. People love free stuff.
So it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter, especially if you can personalize it.
Right.
So I had someone really famous, and they had a common last name. So I found like a popcorn place that like made their name popcorn. It's just they loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the little things, it's the thoughtful things.
Definitely. And the handwritten note, especially to someone in the high end. If you have a connection with them and you say, hey, I thought of you because of this, and you reference the conversation, they're like, oh,
Right. So back on the journey, 5 years ago, you hire all the wrong assistants, then you finally get the right one. And we've heard that story 100 times.
Yes.
Then you start hiring a couple salespeople. Then you meet us and realize, okay, they got to go and I got to start over again. And that's painful, right?
It is. But that's another piece of advice, is that change can often be painful, but you can't grow unless you have change. So don't be afraid of the change and just be ready to pivot,
So today, if we were to fast forward and, now you've got an ops leader, you've outsourced marketing, which we should unpack that. You got sales leader, you got an ISA department, you got a virtual assistant, plus you got a transaction coordinator on 140 transactions.
Right.
Well, that guy or gal's busy. They have to use software.
Yes.
Unpack for us, what do you have for your management team? What are you doing in terms of standards, and how do you hold them accountable? And can you run a sales team and not be the sales leader and still be Joy? Because I imagine they're there because they want to be close to you.
The agents, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm always there for them, right? So, but the sales manager is really there for the gotta moments and to deal doctor, right? But I think it's important that they know we're still small enough that I'm there on a regular basis. That they.
I love that you just said your 23-person team. We're still small enough.
Well, compared to some of these massive teams, yes.
You're doing just fine, my dear. 23 is monster. So talk to me about your managers. How do you develop them? How do you move them forward?
Yeah. So we huddle every morning. So as a team, we huddle every morning. And then I have the executive team, we huddle individually every morning for just 10, 15 minutes, right?
What's the meeting look like? What's it sound like? What are you focusing on?
Yeah,
go a little tactical with us.
Yeah, with the team, it's Monday, we do what was your weekend win and what's your intention for the week?
Yep.
And everybody has a voice. And that's really important that everyone speaks.
Yep.
Tuesday, we do our affirmations. Wednesday, we actually do role play war.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. What's that? What's Role Play War?
So we have two people that role play a situation against each other and their teams.
Yep.
And then everybody anonymously votes on Slack later on.
Oh, so it's like on Zoom or something or inside of Slack on video. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what do you do on Thursday?
Thursday, we listen to a Zillow call and we unpack that.
Good.
And Friday's Gratitude Friday.
I love it.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a lot of sales and ISAs and all of them. Back to the management team. What do you do with them on a daily basis to elevate their game, to transfer your skills, to help them become better managers? Yeah.
So they have big rocks that they have to do. So we talk about what's going to push us forward, and we kind of break it down so that it's simple. And then they have to report back on Slack of how what have they done to move things forward. So
do you find it first of all, do you ever wake up and just go, I have 23 people on my team?
I love it. It's the challenge, right? Yeah. I think I told you this the other day. I was like, I get bored so easily. My husband's always like, I'm so glad you didn't get bored of me yet.
Yes.
But I get bored really easily. So this has been like this whole like growth thing, which is amazing. It's one thing to say like, I've grown so much and we've made this much money, but I feel like my brain has also grown, and it's exciting to build a team, you know?
What's been the lowest low?
I used to critique the role play, right? And I guess I was really harsh. Yeah. And I guess it's realizing that you can't treat your team members the way you would treat your children. And I'm really hard on my kids, right? Yeah. And so, and my mom was really hard on me. So it wasn't taken so greatly. So, you know, so then I had to make an announcement to everyone just saying, hey, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Yeah. You know, I think there's a better way to say things and to critique. But, you know, I think the bottom line is they all knew that I did it because I was trying to improve their skills, right? And so I was easily forgiven because I put my heart out there, and I was like, I'm doing this to try to make you better. It's not like I'm just doing it to be mean, right? So
you're like, my mother was just mean. No, I'm kidding. But I'm not that way, I promise.
But that was hard. It was a learning moment for me.
What was the highest high?
So, okay, this is the thing. I set this goal of how much money I wanted to make in 1 year, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be so great. And I finally hit it. And I was like, oh my God. And the next morning I woke up and I was like, oh, what? Like nothing changed. Like I was like, there's no fireworks. Like what's wrong? And then I almost went into a state of depression. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. And so then I realized it wasn't so much about reaching that pinnacle. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like climbing a mountain and hiking, right? It's like you climb to the top because you can see everything that you've done, and then maybe it gives you a high to do it again, right? Yep. But it's also about the journey, right? And so I've chosen to have teammates as part of my journey and to learn about them and learn about myself along the way and provide them value. And there's obstacles in the road, right? Yeah. But we're able to overcome them together, and that makes it even better. And so I kind of feel like it's more about the journey than just reaching the goal, you know?
I mean, yes, because that's been said so many times, but you know what I mean? Like people just like, but you just had it, right? Yeah. Like you had such a monster year in 2021. Right. I don't know, we were texting about it. And I'm like, that was a lot of do-re-mi.
I know.
Right? That was a big 1099 number. But then you got people like Andy, who you know, who did like 4 times the amount. Right. Does that piss you off? That I'm even bringing it up?
Yeah, no. I mean, I talk to Andy every day. And so that's what's great is like, these are people that push me forward, and they're like, you can do more. I'm like, oh, okay. Like you push me forward. And that's
you. If you're listening only, you had to see the video version of that. You push me forward.
But it's good. It's good. Right. I need it. And I guess that's the way I was brought up, and I that's how I thrive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what I love about this show is just the just the interesting people, and everybody's got a background and a story, and you know, you're different from George or anybody else that I've had on this show. I would ask you though, like, it's 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, what are you building? What's this thing look like when it's quote unquote done?
Yeah. So I don't know, but so it's interesting because I always bring up that 5-year letter that you made me write, 2 or 3 years ago, and I've already hit some of those goals. Right. And when I wrote that letter, I was like, this is crazy that I'm even writing this letter to myself. But I don't know. I'm excited for the future. I have 3 kids that may or may not take over the business, so we'll see. They will definitely be a younger, better version of me.
Listen, I mean, we see that all the time with the Maxine and Marty's, the Carol and Janelle. So there's so many of these mother-daughter teams or, mother-son teams that have just thrived because they watched it. I watched my dad do it and I was like, I think I can do it differently. I think I can do it better.
Yeah.
I hope you have the same.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about this business is it's so rewarding because it's a people business, right? Like I know so many people that go to work every day and they may make a lot of money, but they're not changing lives. Like I feel like we're changing the lives of the people that we work with that are our clients, but also our team members. And I mean, you've changed so many lives, right? And so that's what's rewarding. And if you can have those golden moments with each one of those people and make a difference, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? For, when you're past and someone says, God, I remember when Tom Ferry said this and tells that to your kids. I mean, that's meaningful, right?
Right. That's kind of a mic drop moment, Joy. I'm not sure where we go from there. So hey, if somebody wanted to reach out and hear more about how you built this luxury team, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Oh, sure. On Instagram or Facebook or call me directly, Joy Metalios from Greenwich, Connecticut. And I run the Metalios team at Houlihan Lawrence.
I love it. Thank you so much for unpacking your team and just so proud of everything you've done. This year's going to be even better.
Yes, it will be.
All right. Hey, thank you so much. Leave a comment. If you haven't subscribed, absolutely subscribe and definitely follow this one because she's also killing it on video. All right. This is the Team Builder Show and we're out.